So, today we're going to dive into one of the greatest stories ever told, Homer's Odyssey. But here's the thing, we're not just going to follow a hero on some epic adventure. We're going to use his journey as a kind of map to figure out what holds a society together and, what completely tears it apart. Let's get right into it.
Really think about it. It's a question the Odyssey asks over and over again. As Odysseus travels from one island to the next, he doesn't just bump into monsters and gods. He stumbles upon all these different blueprints for how to live together. And let me tell you, Homer has a very clear idea about which ones work and which ones fail just spectacularly.
And that, right there, is the key to unlocking this whole epic. See, every society Odysseus visits, it exists on a kind of spectrum, from total, utter barbarism all the way to an ideal civilization. By showing us these extremes, Homer gives us this incredibly detailed map of what it means to be truly human and to be part of a community.
So to understand what makes a society good, Homer does something really smart. He first shows us what makes one terrifyingly bad. We're starting at the far dark end of the map, in places where the rules of civilization have completely and totally broken down.
Okay, this slide really gets into the nitty-gritty of what barbarism looks like. First, you've got the Cyclopes. They're lawless, they couldn't care less about the gods, and they actively reject xenia, which is the sacred Greek duty of hospitality. A huge deal back then. Then you have the Lastrygonians, who are somehow even more sinister. They pretend to be civil, right? Right before they reveal their violent, cannibalistic true nature. For Homer, this is just pure chaos.
The scholars Freeman and Fenton just hit the nail on the head when they call the Cyclops Polyphemus a cultural monster. He isn't just a physical threat, he's a threat to the entire idea of society. By eating his guests, he takes the most sacred social rule of the ancient world and completely flips it on its head. So, the big takeaway here is that Homer uses these monstrous societies to draw a clear line in the sand. He's showing us that without respect for the gods, for social laws, and for the bonds of hospitality, you don't really have a society at all. You've just got a nightmare.
Okay, let's keep moving along this map. Not every place Odysseus visits is as clear-cut as the Cyclops cave. Homer also gives us these strange, magical worlds that kind of exist in a gray area. They're not exactly barbaric, but they're not quite civilized either. Really, they're tests.
So take Calypso's island, Ogygia. On the surface it seems like total paradise, right? But its defining feature is stasis, this timeless, divine comfort that basically stops Odysseus from being who he is, a mortal man, a husband, a father, who is desperately trying to get home. It's a beautiful prison.
The scholar Debbie Fenton calls Ogygia a trap, and for good reason. By offering Odysseus immortality, it gives him this tempting escape from all the struggles of being human. His choice to leave is a choice to remain human, to embrace his family and community over some lonely, divine existence.
And then you've got Circe's island, Aeamea. Here, hospitality is actually a weapon. Circe welcomes Odysseus's men with open arms, only to turn them into pigs, literally stripping them of their humanity. She represents that razor's edge between civilized restraint and our own primal animal instincts.
So what's the point of all this? Well, these ambiguous, in-between worlds are absolutely crucial because they force Odysseus to make a choice. He has to actively reject these tempting dead ends and reaffirm his commitment to his family, to his people, and to the mortal, civilized world that he calls home.
Okay, so we've seen the bad and the weird. Now let's finally look at the good. Homer gives us several societies that are genuine models. They're basically blueprints for how a community should function.
Just look at this comparison. It couldn't be more black and white, right? Where the Cyclopses are isolated and driven by pure appetite, the Phaeacians on Scheria are the total opposite. They are defined by their incredible hospitality, their piety, their sense of community and order. It's the difference between anarchy and harmony.
And it's not just Scheria. You have Pylos, which is a model of piety and community. You've got Sparta, which shows that you can have great wealth and still be a moral society. These places are Homer's ideals. They show that a functional society is built on a solid foundation of respect, justice, and faith.
And this, right here, really gets to the heart of it. For Homer, a great society isn't measured by its wealth or its military power. No, it's measured by its moral character, its commitment to justice, its respect for the gods, and crucially, the strength of its family bonds.
And now, all of these different threads, the barbaric, the ambiguous, and the ideal, they all come together in one single place.
Odysseus's home, Ithaca. It becomes the ultimate case study for both the total collapse and the powerful restoration of civilization.
While Odysseus is gone, Ithaca just falls apart. It becomes a twisted mirror of the barbaric societies he's already encountered. The suitors are lawless, they're greedy, they devour his wealth, and worst of all, they corrupt the sacred law of hospitality, turning his home into a den of parasites. The entire kingdom is in chaos because the central household is under siege.
But then Odysseus returns. And just look at what happens. By punishing the suitors, he's not just getting revenge, he is restoring justice. By reuniting with his wife and son, he's making the family unit whole again. And by doing that, he brings order back to the entire island.
The scholar Sarah Freeman really nails this. The climax of the Odyssey, the big finale, isn't some epic battle of conquest. It's a homecoming. The ultimate victory is the restoration of a moral, well-ordered society built on the foundation of family.
This is the core argument of the entire epic. You just can't separate the two. For Homer, political chaos is family chaos. A healthy society is simply a collection of healthy households. When the home is in disarray, the kingdom cannot possibly stand.
So let's just recap Homer's moral map real quick. He shows us barbarism so we know what civilization isn't. He uses these ambiguous worlds to test the hero's values. He presents these ideal civilizations built on justice and family. And it all leads to one powerful conclusion. The health of a nation is reflected in the health of its homes.
Yep, everything. Law, justice, piety, community, it all flows from the order and loyalty found right inside the family. That is the simple but profound final destination on Homer's map. And that leaves us with a pretty big question to think about, doesn't it? Nearly 3,000 years later, if Homer's standard for a great civilization was the strength of its families, what's ours? And what would he think of the map we're making for ourselves today?